The latest Genshin update is packed with a ton of new content, and these are the top 5 new features coming with the 4.3 version. Now, not much is known about the 4.3 version story quests, but we did get a load of info about the upcoming events. And the main one, called Roses and Muskets, is all about shooting some scenes with a bunch of different characters from Inazuma and Fontaine. Now, we can see that the biggest reward for participating in this event is going to be this limited claymore called Ultimate Overlord's Mega Magic Sword. Pretty cool name, not gonna lie. And this event is gonna be made up of a bunch of minigames. In the first one, you will need to become Sniper Elite and take out enemies, while in the second activity, you'll need to fight in this combat arena and utilize various film effects, like this old-timey grayscale effect. But third activity looks pretty fun. You will have to go into co-op and herd these balls around to their target areas, while the final fourth activity requires you to take a bunch of dynamic shots of characters. And as someone who loves doing this for my own videos, maybe I'll learn something here. Moving over to smaller events, Ito's Beetle Battling event is making a return. There doesn't seem to be any unique rewards, just a bunch of resources, but the devs did promise that there will be some new ways you can strategize and become the best Beetle Master. However, we are getting a unique reward in the Lost Riches event. That's right, mini Seelies are back, and I'm happy to see that I can add one more Seelie to my collection. What's interesting about them is that there's a new Brilliant Seelie we will be able to select as a reward, and this one can actually travel underwater with us. So I think it's not going to be a hard choice for me when it comes to picking which new Seelie I want to obtain. Now, another event called Dance of Resolute Will is a combat-focused activity, and I think I've seen this one before, or at least something similar to it, because here you will need to use one character in both combat rounds, while the other 3 characters cannot be the same ones in both rounds. But yeah, seems interesting, and there will be a bunch of generic rewards. Also, Lieben is yet again showing up in Mondstadt, and if you're not familiar with him, basically you just trade a bunch of materials for Primogem rewards. Finally, TCG mode is getting a new heated battle mode, and Forge Realms Temper event is making a return, while at the same time, you'll also be able to challenge some Melusines, and there will be a bunch of new cards you can obtain, including 6 new characters and 5 new monsters. After almost a whole year, we're finally getting a new Geo character, and to this I say, it's about time. So, Navia is the new 5-star Geo Claymore character, and yes, you heard it right. That's a 3rd Geo character who uses a Claymore. Now, it seems like she can aim her skill to shoot the enemies, and when anyone in the party picks up crystallized shards, they will grant these crystal shrapnel stacks that will enhance the skill, so the more of these stacks Navia has, the more enhanced her skill becomes. And I mean, just look at it. She aims her umbrella and blasts off this cool shot. Really interested to see the damage numbers and the amount of hits this skill will produce. But her bombastic playstyle doesn't end here, because literally, her burst summons a massive cannon that creates a huge explosion and deals AoE damage, while at the same time leaves behind a supportive fire that deals damage to nearby enemies. What's also cool is that when the burst hits enemies, Navia will also gain crystal shrapnel stacks, so this will allow her to boost her skill's performance faster. Like, visually, she looks stunning. Even her normal attacks look amazing, so I'm really curious to see if she can give a facelift to Geo Element. Also, she's the first character who will increase the rewards you can gain from Fontaine expeditions. Now, the other new character in 4.3 is going to be Chevris, who is a 4-star Pyro Polearm user, and her skill is pretty interesting because when tapped, she will quickly fire a shot and afterwards provide continuous healing to the active character, but if you hold the skill, now she can lock the target onto the weapon sights, and if anyone in the party caused an overload reaction, she will then unleash this overcharged ball that deals better AoE pyro damage. And as for her burst, this time she fires off a grenade that will first explode and then leave behind these shells scattered around, which explode after some time. I guess that one guy was right, true art is an explosion. But I think the biggest thing about this new 4-star is her unique passive ability, which will become active if the party is strictly made up of either pyro or electro characters, because then, when anybody triggers overload reaction, the enemy's pyro and electro resistance will be reduced. I mean, that sounds super interesting, and if you're wondering, this passive restriction is pretty similar to Nilo's, where you only get to activate her instantly exploding blooms when the party is made up of either Hydro or Dendro, but this time around, Chevris dictates that the party has to meet up of either Pyro or Electro. So now I'm wondering how meta these new Overload teams are going to be. But let's talk about upcoming banners. In the first phase, Navia and Ayaka will be the featured 5 stars alongside Navia's signature 5-star weapon, while in the second phase, you'll be able to pull for either Raiden Shogun or Yoimiya alongside Chevreuse, so as you can see, Hoyo is doubling down on the whole Overload team concept. Pretty interesting lineup, but I'm surprised to see that Albedo is not making a return around Christmas. I guess I'm just getting old. Anyway, you can also expect Navia's story quest to show up in this update as well. I hope you're ready for some new artifacts, because we're getting 2 new sets in 4.3 update. Unfortunately, no official information has been disclosed about them. And this is not the first time Hoyo has done this, where they just share a single PNG image of artifacts and leave us hanging for more info. So yeah, I'm not able to talk about this just yet, and we'll need to wait until Hoyo decides to share the info about these new artifacts. Now, I don't know how much you guys care about Serenity Pot, maybe it's just a glorified place for you to pick up materials with realm coins, but in 4.3 update, you'll be able to buy this new realm layout that's in the style of Fontaine. In fact, when you travel between the islands, you can see there's this whole cool swimming sequence. I mean, to me this looks cool, and I can finally start building my SpongeBob SquarePants empire under the sea. It's honestly kinda crazy how many quality of life changes are coming with the 4.3 update. First of all, we're finally getting one-click expeditions. No more clicking around to farm the same materials. Now it can all be done with just one click. What's even better, this new change also applies to claiming all the forged things like ores and processed ingredients. But the one-click streak doesn't end here. When using Artifact Strongbox, you'll also be able to add multiple artifacts in batches with a single click, and in future versions, the developers are also planning this one-click feature to add furnishings when you claim them. So in short, a lot of tediousness that we're used to is finally getting phased out with this new update. Now, there's another massive change that's coming to artifact management. In the artifacts inventory screen, you'll be able to filter and quickly lock or unlock artifacts according to the requirements that you set. So for example, you could quickly lock any artifacts that have both crit rate and crit damage substats. And to me, this sounds amazing because I often forget to check out a lot of the artifacts I get from world bosses. Next, you can see the artifact filter screen will change at the character's artifacts menu. But what's even crazier, as a reference, you'll now be able to see the most popular artifact choices for the characters based on other players' preferences. I guess this means I'm out of a job now, since you'll be able to just check out best artifacts for each character in-game. But let's go back to one-clicking. Yeah, it's not over yet. Now, you can just one-click and quickly ascend the character. This is great because the game will also calculate the most efficient amount of books and their types for leveling. And roughly the same feature is also getting added to artifact leveling as well. You can now add up to 15 artifacts, but also, you can select to automatically increase the artifacts level to 4, 8, 12, and 16. This is amazing and will save me so much time when I just want to see if it's worth putting in the resources into the artifact. I mean, we get to spend less time for that common painful outcome, right? But weapon leveling is also getting some love. Now, you can add up to 40 materials for quick leveling, and you no longer have to refine one by one. Now you can just dump all copies or materials once to get that quick R5 refinement. And get this, artifact farming is finally getting sped up. Now, when you claim the rewards, you don't have to tediously run from the entrance of the domain, and instead, you get spawned directly to the domain challenge. And lastly, some minor quality of life changes will be made to enemy navigation when using the handbook. You can see here, the enemies are now laid out in a grid instead of a scrolling list like we're used to, and you can also cancel the tracking more easily. Also, my own pet peeve is getting fixed, because now when crafting, cooking, forging, or creating new furnishings, the first character that can provide the bonus will be automatically selected. I cannot tell you the amount of times I forgot to do this, so I'm happy about this little but crucial change. Finally, we can now see how long it takes for the world boss to respawn. Gone are the days of me coming back too early when the boss hasn't spawned yet. Now, you'll be able to see when they're ready to be slaughtered again. Overall, I'm extremely happy with these changes as a day 1 player, and I really hope that Hoyoverse considers adding artifact loadouts in the near future. I mean, hey, click the like button on the video if you agree with this. But yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to the 4.3 update. It seems packed with tons of content, and I'm actually eager to see these new changes. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful. As always, you can help me out by just subscribing to my channel, and don't forget to press the like button on this video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.